What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the UFC show here on the Run Pure Sports YouTube channel, talking UFC Fight Night 223, Blaydes versus Pavlovich. I'm Draft Cheat, of course, joined today, as always, by Title Town. Title, how you doing on this Friday afternoon?
Doing well, man. Doing well. Coming off a fun Kansas City card. You were in attendance. You talked about it a little bit before. Not guys you were cheering for, your buddy. Not what you wanted to see, but it was a good fight. There's a lot of good fights on that card, and I always love cards with fans. Unfortunately, we're back in the Apex this weekend. Never love to see that, but we got some fun fights top to bottom. Really great main event. Pavlovich, Blaydes, Clash of Styles. A lot of Clash of Styles on this card, but. Yeah, 12 fights, so right in the middle, not too big, not too small. A lot of closely lined fights. We have one big favorite, Montel Jackson, but a lot of closely lined fights, and it should be fun for DFS.
Yeah, I was going to say most of these fights are minus 200 or lower for the favorite, which I think makes for a more fun card, especially when there's not as many fights, right? Only 12 fights to choose from on this card. So I think it makes it more fun for DFS if they are closely lined in general. Not the best card in the world, honestly. Like you said, the main event is good, but still big prize pools, 100K up top in the big $15 entry. So we'll go through it, break it all down, and hopefully pick some winners for the people. With that, let's jump into the first fight on the card. Batgirl Dana and Brady high stand. It is Dana who is moderate favorite here, sitting around minus 140 to minus 150. What do you see between these two titles?
Great fight to kick off the card for DFS. We got a Clash of Styles. Brady, he's stand. All he does is wrestle. He's 23 years old, 6-2 record, 1-1 in the UFC. Literally just a wrestler. Striking, it needs a lot of improvement. The chin, I'm concerned about. But yeah, he has good cardio. He can wrestle for 15 minutes, and that's what he's going to have to do, because Dana, on the other hand, is just the opposite. Power in the hands, good movement on the feet, throw some solid volume. Can't draw up a better fight to do it. If Brady wins, probably going to be 6 takedowns, tons of control time. He needs to fight the perfect fight. At 7,500, he has all the upside in the world. I think Dana gets it done. I'm concerned about his stand a little bit. I mean, I don't think his future, like, he's no world champion by any means. He's still 23. He's got to evolve a lot. But Dana, 10 years older, a lot more physically strong. I think his takedown defense will hold up for the most part. If he does get taken down, I don't think he's going to get control for 10-plus minutes. And, man, anytime it's on the feet, it is night and day. Dana hits like a truck. I'm worried about he stands chin. I think Dana knocks him out early. But I'll have a ton of this fight for sure, because if Brady wins, it's almost surely optimal at 7,500. And Dana at 8,700, one of the best inside the distance lines on the slate. But the odds, he's only minus 140. So if you're looking value, money line odds wise, the 1,200 savings does show Brady's probably a better play, but he could even be higher owned than Dana just because the salary difference. But I love this fight. Give me Dana by knockout.
Yeah, kind of the way I see it too. Usually these like kind of true one-trick ponies, unless they're like, I don't know, when you get a one-trick pony, what's that?
Unless they're Marab.
Yeah, I know. When you get one of these guys that's like a big favorite, I think they usually come through. But when they come in as an underdog, like you said, I don't know if he's going to be able to control Dana, even if he gets him to the mat. And then just Dana has so many more ways to win. I think if Brady does get the job done, probably by decision, right? I mean,
yeah, I'd be shocked if he got a.
Yeah, so if you are on the dog here, if you're betting, I think just take the bigger number on the decision. I don't think he's going to get the finish. It's obviously not that big of an increase. But, yeah, I'm with you. I think Dana has a good chance to knock it out. And for DFS, I mean, one of these guys is probably scoring pretty well, to be honest. It's kind of a little bit difficult maybe to predict how this fight is going to go. But, in terms of who's going to win it. But I think the winner probably ends up having a pretty damn good score for DFS. So a good fight to kick it off. We'll move to the next one, to the women's division. Karine Silva, minus 200 over Priscilla Cachoeira. What do you see here in the chick fight division?
Two of the better fights to kick off the card. And it's not very often, DC, I say that about a chick fight, but you're not going to want to miss this one. If you miss the other two on the card, I think that's fine. This one, though, should be a lot of fun. Minus 200 to finish, which you rarely see. Anytime you see the name Priscilla Cachoeira, though, zombie girl. She's always in fun fights. She throws a ton of volume. She walks forward. She'll eat 4 to give 1 because her chin. She's never been knocked out. Very, very good chin. And the girls that she's fighting in this division just don't have the same power she has. So if she connects once, she thinks she can put you to sleep, whereas she'll take any other beating on the other side. Karine Silva, on the other hand, 15-4 fighter. She is making her second fight in the UFC. And man, this chick is a finisher. This is why this fight's -200 to finish. Why I love this fight. 15-4 record, 9 wins by knockout, 6 by submission. So all 15 have come inside the distance. A lot of those have been in the first round. And of her 4 losses, only 1 have been a decision. So 18 of their 19 fights have been inside the distance. She gets a dance partner on the other side. Silva's well-rounded on the feet. She has some power as well. Definitely give the advantage to Priscilla Cachoeira on the feet, though. Anytime it's on the feet, I give her the advantage in most fights. But her detriment is always the takedown defense. And then when she is on her back, she really just doesn't have a great get-up game. Silva looks to have some solid wrestling, looks to have some solid grappling, 6 wins by submission. I'm looking at this as a clash of styles. Silva's not a bad striker like Brady, but like I said, I don't think she wants it there. She wants it on the mat. Silva has as much upside as anybody on the slate. Could easily get a first-round finish. She should be hunting for takedowns early. Cachoeira's been sub. Jillian Robertson dominated her on the mat and stuff. But if this fight gets outside the first round, the longer it goes, Silva could gas. I mean, we just don't see her go to third rounds very often. So the longer it goes, I am concerned about the gas tank. She did slow down a little bit in the Contender Series fight. And Cachoeira can fight a hard 15 minutes, as we know. So I'm looking for a live bet spot on Priscilla. As far as DFS-wise, sign me up for these first 2 fights. I'll be very overweight on these first 2. I think it's either Silva round 1, probably by submission, or Cachoeira takes over later and can knock her out if Silva wants to play the striking game. So kind of 2 clash of styles is how I'm looking at it in these first 2 fights.
Yeah, we usually don't get the first 2 fights on the card being, some of the better fights for DFS, but I do think it's true on this particular fight. Like you said, Silva, I think, like if you look at Cachoeira's record in the UFC, she puts up some decent scores when she wins, but when she loses, her opponents typically do pretty well. I do think that kind of leads into Cachoeira's style, or Silva's style rather here. So yeah, I'm with you. I think whoever comes away with the win in this fight, pretty good chance to put up a decent score. And yeah, like you said, I think you do want a decent share of this fight overall. Probably on both sides, honestly. I like you said, I could see this one going either way. That plus 170 on Priscilla seems kind of like a big number to me, but like you said, maybe the live bet could be an even better opportunity than that.
Yeah, if I had to pick, I'd pick dog or pass, take that money. But I think I wouldn't bet. Like I'm not betting it pre-flop. Like you said, because she could get out there. Londo in chat, what's up, man? He said Silva massive grappling advantage. Yeah, if she gets early takedown, it could be round 1 sub. So I think you get a better number probably after round 1. So yeah, same thoughts here, DC.
Let's get to the next fight. 2 fighters that are undefeated in the UFC, and Francis Marshall undefeated overall, just 7 pro fights, but 7-0. He is the favorite here, sitting around -210 against William Gomis. Yeah, I think this is another fight that should be interesting here. About even to go to decision or not. So maybe not quite as exciting for DFS purposes, but 2 younger fighters in the featherweight division. I think we could see a lot of action in this one, and 2 fighters that are kind of trying to move their way up through the ranks. So yeah, not a bad fight here. Francis Marshall -215 over Gomis. What do you see?
Yeah, another solid fight. I do like the first 2 fights more in DFS. I'll be more overweight on those than this one. But yeah, like you said, I mean, Francis Marshall, his fighting style will lead to fun fights because he is very aggressive. Both these guys I look at very similar. I mean, a lot of similarities. Francis Marshall's 24 years old, 7-0 pro record, 1-0 in the UFC. Gomis is 25 years old, 11-2 pro record, 1-0 in the UFC. And they both are well-rounded. They both have wrestling background. That's how Gomis won his last fight. Francis Marshall mixed in the wrestling as well. But both guys are solid strikers. They just get the striking done in different ways. Francis Marshall, bunch of forward pressure, has some power on the feet. Whereas Gomis, he wants to dance around on his back foot. He gets on his bike. He moves around the cage that way and counter punches. So I just think Francis Marshall, when it comes to wrestling, I give the advantage to Marshall. He's a better power wrestler. I think he's stronger in the clinch. I just think he's the better wrestler. Now, maybe I'm wrong. which is why, like, when we're talking, I'll get to like exposures in this fight. Like, I'll be close to the field on both these, but I'll probably have more Gomes to the field than I will Marshall, just because the price and needing some dogs. But I think Francis Marshall's probably the better wrestler. And when it comes to the striking, Marshall's going to be the one moving forward, whereas Gomes is going to be the one on the back foot. Gomes is going to have to fight a really good fight for 15 minutes because we know judges aggressiveness, and if it's a close fight, they're going to give it to the person walking forward. But yeah, I mean, this fight opened minus 400 Francis Marshall. Now it's minus 210, which shows that number was way off at opening. These two are pretty much similar fighters. I think Marshall's the better fighter. If I had to bet it, I would definitely take the plus money. No way I'm laying minus 200. Yeah, 9,200 Marshall. He has upside, but like I like Blaydes for 400 less. I like Montel Jackson for 500 more. Like there's others in his range I like more. He should get the job done against Gomes. I don't love Gomes' upside, even in a win, unless he just is the way better wrestler, which I do not think is the case. Like it's mainly counter punching and stuff. But hey, you give me 70 at 7K on this card, I probably move on and will take my overweight stance if not many dogs come. But yeah, I'll pick Francis Marshall. I'll say by decision.
Yeah, I think as always, you will need a dog or two probably in your lineup on this card. But there's, quite a few, I think, live dogs, including really the last three, the first three fights that we've talked about. I wouldn't be shocked at all if all three dogs came through. It's certainly possible. Next fight, another one that is very, very closely aligned, essentially a coin flip per the odds makers. We go to the heavyweight division, Junior Tafa making his UFC debut against Muhammad Usman. Tafa just 4-0 in his professional career, so not a lot of experience. And Usman himself isn't, hasn't been around all that long either. So, yeah, interesting one here. Interested to hear what you have to say between Usman and Junior Tafa.
Yeah, so Junior Tafa making his UFC debut, brother of Justin Tafa, taking on Muhammad Usman, making a second fight in the UFC. The last one was the Ultimate Fighter Championship, where he beat Zach Paga. Zach Paga is a 205er, light heavyweight, fought a heavyweight for that one. Usman was losing the fight as he always does. He is very, very low volume, but he is huge. You look at him, he's a scary-ass man. Picking two guys in a bar fight, you're rarely going to pick against this Usman guy. Just based on how he looks, if that's what you're doing first time seeing him. But doesn't throw his hands, very tilting, like William Knight Jr., has power. But, man, Junior Tafa on the other side. So, yeah, you said 4-0, not much pro experience. He made his debut last July, so he doesn't even have a full year of MMA pro experience under his belt. He's a kickboxer. He's coming over. He fought some at Glory. He has a very good kickboxing record. I think it was like 23-5 or 23-5 or something like that. Has fought good competition. His striking's legit. Kickboxer coming over to MMA. No chance we're comparing him to Alex Pereira or something like that. But the same thoughts. If it gets on the mat, you have concerns with him. There's no change with that with Alex Pereira now. He fights a Robert Whitaker or something, like Whitaker's minus 300. You give him the right fight for a guy that'll stay on the feet. Junior Tafa can walk through some of these guys. That's how I'm looking at it with Muhammad Usman. I don't think he's very good. Be betting against him plenty in the future. Is he going to get to the wrestling? Muhammad Usman, he's not like Kamaru Usman. Kamaru, his brother, a way, way better wrestler. Muhammad has wrestled prior to the UFC in some fights, but he prefers to keep it on the feet. I'm concerned if he does wrestle, which he has to wrestle in this fight, so I'm going to expect him to come in with a smart game plan. But if he doesn't finish in like round one, I don't know what his cardio is going to be. I don't think he can wrestle for 15 minutes. Same can be said about Tafa, though. If he's on the bottom from a very heavy man in Usman for 5+ minutes, like we're talking about a kickboxer who looks, I assume is pretty lost on the mat, regardless how much he's trying. So it's over minus 300 to finish, 8,200, 8K. Looks like a great fight to target. I'll have plenty of it as well. I can see past where it busts. Low-level heavyweights, anything can happen in these fights, as we know. But I'm going to say Tafa keeps it on the feet. I'm going to say he knocks out Usman. Usman does not throw any volume on the feet. Night and day there. Yeah, Usman could take him down and dominate there. Would I be surprised one bit? No, but I have not seen Usman wrestle much. I don't think he can do it for more than 5 minutes. I'll take Tafa, but yeah, what a high variance fight.
Yeah, I feel like some of these heavyweight fights are like the number, to finish inside the distance gets a little out of control when it's kind of these two low level. I don't know. It just feels like this one could be a scrappy decision. I wouldn't be shocked. I hear you. I think Tafa is the better pick. I just feel like we kind of know what Muhammad Usman is, right? Or we have a better idea, and it's not very impressive. So on a closely lined fight, I'll take kind of a little bit of a lesser known fighter, and we just know less about him, about his upside. So I'm with you on Junior Tafa there. We'll keep moving back to the women's division. Carol Hossa and Norma Dumont, obviously two UFC veterans here. This is another one that is essentially a coin flip. Dumont, slight favorite on the betting market right now. Said you're not as excited about these other two women's fights as you are about Silva and Cachoeira, but talk to us, Carol Hossa and Norma Dumont here.
Yeah, definitely not as excited. It's the most likely fight to go to decision. Carol Hossa is coming up a division to featherweight, fighting at 145. Dumont's one of the few fighters. There really is not a featherweight women's division. Nunez, if anyone ever made a push and wanted to fight Nunez at 145, she'd walk right through him, but there really isn't many. So it's kind of weird to see Carol Hossa take this step up. I don't really like this fight much, but Carol Hossa is going to get some ownership in DFS because she throws very good volume. The volume numbers are there. If this fight stays on the feet, 7,900, she could easily get 85, 90 in a win. I don't love her like 100-plus point upside. I don't think she finishes. So I think she'll be over-owned from the standpoint of people will see the odds, people will see the floor and the volume. But when you want the six highest scoring fighters, like I'll be underweight. I don't think it's a great play as much for tournaments. I think she'll be over-owned. Dumont, don't love her upside either. I think she should try and mix in the wrestling. She's the bigger fighter. She definitely has the frame for 145, where Hossa's a natural 135er. Hossa has had problems on the mat when she does get taken down. She really hasn't shown much off her back. So, well, I won't have much of this fight because you can't play every fight if you're playing 20 entry and below. There is pass for both these girls. Dumont, if the wrestling, if she just dominates her there, Hossa keeps it on the feet. She does throw good volume. But I like we talked about all these other fights that we already talked about have way more upside, at least what it feels like, than a fight like this. So, yeah, not much exposure for me in this one. I think Hossa's over-owned. Dumont should be low-owned, but, yeah, mainly a fade.
Yeah, big favorite to go to decision. Like you said, there's a chance for some volume here with these two fighters, but certainly of the first five fights that we've talked about, I'm the least interested in this one for DFS. With that, let's go to the really only huge favorite on this card, which I think is kind of an interesting dynamic. You usually don't get someone that kind of sticks out so much in terms of their odds compared to the rest of the field, but that's the case here. Montel Jackson sitting around minus 600 over Rani Yahya. Again, two longtime UFC veterans. This is in the bantamweight division. And yeah, Jackson, a very large favorite over Yahya, a much younger fighter, even though they've both been in the UFC a long time, much longer reach. You can certainly see all the reasons why Jackson is such a heavy favorite here. And for DFS purposes, that's going to lead to a lot of ownership, right? I would think that Jackson's kind of going to be the first person in a lot of people's lineups, just given the huge minus 600 number. So talk to us about Yahya Jackson. How do you see the fight going, and what's going to be your approach with the big favorite, Montel Jackson here?
Yeah, I think Jackson will be somewhere like 38% owned. So he'll definitely be one of the highest owned, but I don't see it going too crazy. 9,700 is a lot, and people just don't love picking multiple dogs, like playing three dogs on their team. People like going to that mid-tier, mixing in one or two dogs, and there's 9K options. Blaydes is 8.8. There's cheaper guys that you can plug in that have a lot of upside. So I think his ownership will be just fine. And that means I'll go overweight, like as we've talked about. I think multiple live dogs. There are multiple live dogs. He's the only guy that stands out at minus 600, minus 130 to finish. And, man, this dude is just all the power in the world. He's going to look 3 weight classes bigger than Rani Yahya. Rani Yahya is a one-dimensional grappler. When it's on the mat, he has very good submission game. He needs it on the mat, though. On the feet, he's going to be at the most disadvantage you've ever seen. Jackson has a bunch of power. I think he has like 9 knockdowns so far in the UFC. Yaya's going to flop to his back. He's going to pull guard. He's going to try and grab a heel and get in grappling sequences. He's going to do whatever it takes to get to the mat. If Jackson fights a smart game plan, hope he does. If you knock him down, let him get back up and knock his ass down again. Don't be following him to the mat. He has all the upside in the world in this fight. Maybe, I wouldn't be shocked to see a decision over a knockout because if he knocks him down, the dude, Ronnie Yaya is going to pull like the Charles Oliveira. You get clipped, you go to your back, you're hurt a little bit, you recover, get it to your world down below, and then you can try and find something else. Like you could see 4 or 5 knockdowns, like a JP Blaydes Montel Jackson fight where he had multiple knockdowns. Blaydes laid on his back. Jackson didn't really follow him there, went to decision. Decision, knockout, I'm not really sure which one, but I think we see multiple knockdowns at least if it is a decision. Jackson all day on the feet. I think he keeps it on the feet. Yeah, I'm not telling you anything the odds aren't telling you, but DFS-wise, I definitely like him a lot. All the upside in the world.
Yeah, it seems like it could get ugly for Ronnie Yaya in there if it stays on the feet, which I think Montel Jackson, just given the size, strength discrepancy, I think he's going to be able to keep it standing. And if he does, could be a short night for both these fighters. But Montel Jackson, obviously the pick, and kind of surprised. I don't know, not surprised, but if he's only really going to be 35-40% on, I do think he is pretty strong play on this card DFS wise. One more card on the prelims, and we'll get to the main card. This one, Ricky Glenn, I guess he's a decent favorite, sitting around -150 over Christos Giagos. Talk to us about these two fighters, Title.
Yeah, he's a little favorite, -150, but you look at the price, $9K and 7,200. Like when you're seeing $9K, 7,200, you're thinking -230 +180 or something like that.
The odds shift since the prices got released, I'm guessing.
Yeah, money is coming on Giagos, but it hasn't been like a ton. I don't know why DraftKings, like even on Monday when they released pricing, I don't think he was the 5th biggest favorite or something like that. But little money has came on Giagos. So just Ricky Glenn, 9K as a -150 favorite, -170 in some places in a fight that is favored? Yeah, just slightly favored to go to decision, but I like Blaydes for 200 less. I like Dana for 300 less. I like Silva for 100 more. Like you just go to the people around Glenn. I like all of them way more. Glenn's going to be low owned though. Game theory, I get it for sure. His path to victory in this one, he's more of a decision fighter. His first 6 UFC fights have all went to decision until he found a knockout over Joaquim Silva when he came back. But known as more of a decision fighter, his path to the optimal here is Giagos slows down as the fight goes. If Giagos blows his load after round 1 and Glenn starts teeing off on him round 2, can get a late 3rd round finish or something like that, that is the path there. It is definitely possible. But Giagos, I think he wins round 1. He's a very talented fighter until his gas tank falls off, and that's the biggest problem with him, which is why I can't pick him. How I can't pick a guy that I don't trust his gas tank, but I think he wins round 1. I think he has multiple takedowns. He can get top control. He is a primary wrestler, okay on the feet, but I think he does have success early in this one. If the gas tank's there, he can bank the first 2 rounds and win a decision that way. Averages 3.21 takedowns per 15 minutes. Ricky Glenn, solid takedown defense, solid get-up game, but it's kind of the same fight for Glenn as he had last time against Grant Dawson. Dawson, primary wrestler, took him down 3 times, controlled him for 8 minutes the first 2 rounds. Dawson had nothing left in the tank. Ricky Glenn 10-8 in the 3rd, and they got a draw. So I don't want to pay $9K. If you only have a couple lineups, I wouldn't get to Ricky Glenn personally. I'd rather Christos Giagos. All the upside in the world if he does somehow have a gas tank, 7,200 for a primary wrestler at +140. Definitely makes sense to me. I'll have more Giagos than Glenn, but when it comes to a pick, it's Ricky Glenn for me, and probably a live bet. Probably after round 1, he'll probably be close to even money, maybe a slight dog. And if we see him start fading, Giagos, that is, then you bet Glenn that way.
Yeah, I was going to say that live betting after round 1 sounds pretty good based on your breakdown of the fight. I assume Giagos is going to have some pretty high ownership given the low price tag. And, I mean, he could close at an even lower plus number, right, if the money keeps coming in on him. So I assume he'll be one of the more popular dogs, but it sounds like for good reason. He's certainly got a path to a decent fight and a win there for Giagos. We'll get to the main card now. Before we do, just a reminder, hit the like button. It really does help us out. Allows us to bring you these videos, 5 videos, free of charge, pretty much every week. So if you're watching, enjoying the video, please do hit the like. It does go a long way for us. And if you want to subscribe to Run Pure Sports, join the winners. Great time of year. We've got baseball, NBA playoffs, PGA, and so many other sports over at runpuresports.com. You can use promo code Title15. Say the code Title. I think so. Title 15. will get you 15% off your first month's payment. All right, with that, let's get to the main card here. We'll kick it off with Matthew Semmelsberger and Jeremiah Wells. Again, this is like the third or fourth fight that's been essentially a coin flip per the odds makers, which I think makes for a pretty fun card. This fight is favored to finish inside the distance, so certainly some good action expected between Wells and Semmelsberger. Break it down for his title. What do you see between these two guys?
Yeah, flip a coin. I mean, minus 110 a piece. Pick them. I totally understand it. It should be a very fun fight, though. Wells 8,400, Semmelsberger 7,800, though. So right there on a very close fight, I look at game theory. I'm expecting Semmelsberger to be a little bit higher owned. He should be. Like, if you're telling me Semmelsberger and Wells have the same ownership, give me the $600 savings and Semmelsberger all day there. But I'd assume people see these odds, people see the prices, more people go Semmelsberger. Breaking down the fight, though, I mean, both guys coming off probably their best win to date. Jeremiah Wells knocked out Court McGee, sick left hook. That was his last fight when I was in Austin. I was sitting right there. I was like, what in the world did I just see? Court McGee doesn't get knocked out like that. Wells, devastating power, good power wrestler as well. Got some grappling on him. Just a good all-around fighter. But again, I do have some concerns with him. Most of his wins are early. If this fight gets to the second round, second half of the second round, the third round, I'm not sure what his cardio is going to look like. Whereas I do know Matt Semmelsberger has good 3-round cardio. So again, another spot I will be looking at a possible live bet after round one. But man, it's so close. Semmelsberger coming off a great win over Jake Matthews. Jake Matthews had a lot of hype going into it, that fight. Semmelsberger mixed in the wrestling. He got 3 takedowns. He's a solid striker himself. He'll look like the bigger fighter. Wells is shorter. Very stocky, though. Very ripped, very shredded. Whereas Semmelsberger, I think he has like a 4-inch height advantage in this one. Will look bigger. I have no clue. I wish I really knew. I'll have similar exposure to both. Yeah, I ain't going to lie. I really do. Yeah. I'm rolling with Jeremiah Wells. I've been very impressed with him. The second he walked in the UFC, trains with guys like Sean Brady and those guys in Philly, Pat Sabatini, great gym. He gets reps there, has power on the feet to knock out Semmelsberger, can mix in wrestling. Give me the explosive guy that has the finishing upside, the more dangerous fighter, I think. But Semmelsberger can finish this fight too, and I won't be shocked. So yeah, I wish I could tell you. I wish I had a stronger lean. I'm picking Wells. I think he'll be lower on because of the price, but it's a great fight to target in DFS. It's supposed to finish.
Yeah, I think it's important to, be transparent. If you don't have a strong lean on a fight, let people know. Because then when you do, right, if you try to pretend you're sure on every single fight, then when you are sure, it doesn't carry as much weight. So I certainly understand your perspective there. We'll keep moving to the third women's fight on the card. And I think the second biggest favorite is Yasmin Lucendo, sitting minus 350 or so over Brogan Walker. Both of these girls have had one fight in the UFC. They both lost. So they're both coming off a loss, but it is Lucendo who's a relatively big favorite, especially for this card, sitting minus 350. What do you see, Walker and Lucendo?
Yeah, so Lucendo's loss was to Yasmin Uruguay. Uruguay. I forget. Urwagi it's that Urwagi or something like that. Just like a 22-year-old, 23-year-old, just a very highly touted prospect. Going to be a problem for a long time. That fight with Lucendo was on the main card. It was a pay-per-view, I believe, as well. Just like 22-year-old, 21-year-old throwing down. It's very high-level stuff. It was a loss for Lucendo, but she gained stock in my book. Whereas you look at Brogan Walker, her loss was to that Juliana freaking Miller girl, DC. First fight of the card when we were in Kentucky, the girl that literally was so cheeks as a minus 450 favorite. That chick, Juliana Miller, dominated this Brogan Walker girl, took her down, all the top control, ended up finishing her in the third round. If Miller did that to Brogan Walker, I think Lucendo can do whatever she wants. Walker's a primary striker, looks lost on the mat, had no takedown defense in that one. Lucendo, before coming to the UFC, like she showed wrestling background. She showed some grappling chops. I think she can get to the takedown anytime she wants, land some ground and pound, maybe finish it that way. On the feet, I think she's the better striker too. She's aggressive, has some pop on the shots. She's going to be low owned at 9,500 and plus 190 to finish with the wrestling upside I think she does have. I think it's a spot to get overweight on. People won't play her just because of her price tag. Makes sense. Getting Montel Jackson for 200 more definitely feels a lot better, but he's going to be over double the ownership. So yeah, if you're eating some chalk dogs and a lot of your lineups chalky, I think Lucindo's a good way to make it different with all the upside in the world. I hope she does wrestle because that's how she would hit her ceiling. Definitely no Brogan Walker for me, but yeah, Lucindo should take care of this one. With all that being said, though, it's women's freaking MMA, man, and every single week we see big dogs come through. So I'm not picking it, but would I be completely shocked? No, I see it every week. I can't be shocked anymore.
Yeah, you don't often see a minus 350 favorite, and also minus 210 to go the entire distance the fight is. So,
but it's only just because of that one, like plus 190 for Lucindo to finish, plus 850 for Walker to finish. So it really is just saying that it's just that one girl can't finish nobody. Yeah, so
yeah. That's fair. That's fair. But yeah, I like that pick on Lucindo. 14 years, the junior of Brogan Walker as well, which, you always like to see that for a pretty big favorite. So yeah, Lucindo over Walker, I think that makes a lot of sense. And like you said, 9,500, I bet a lot of people will go a different direction. Women's fights are usually a little bit lower round, I think. And then the bigger thing, of course, is just not that highly favored to finish inside the distance. So that's Walker, Lucindo, 3 fights to go. We're back to 2 longtime UFC veterans, Bobby Green, Jared Gordon. I think, if you've watched a lot of UFC, you kind of know what to expect. Should be a fun fight. I think maybe not the most technical, but we should see some fireworks in this one. Bobby Green sitting around minus 280. Who do you got between Green and Gordon?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always excited for Bobby Green fights. Yeah. The dude's a showman. The dude will talk. The dude has fun in there. But he's always way more fun to bet. It's always way more fun to bet him as an underdog instead of a big favorite. He shows out. The dude is always game, but he has some fights when he's a big favorite where his IQ just goes out the window. All he does is caring about talking. He'll make a fight way shorter or way closer than it has to be, which is why I'm a little concerned, because minus 275 Bobby Green, we see him as like plus 140, plus 180 a lot of times. But I think he's a rightful favorite in this one. He should style on Jared Gordon. Gordon's coming off an absolute robbery to Patty Pimblett. Not going to get into all of that, but Gordon's a primary wrestler. He needs to get the fight on the mat. Bobby Green has good takedown defense. Bobby Green has a good get-up game. Bobby Green has his own offensive wrestling. He's not going to use it in this fight, but I think he's able to keep the fight on the feet. And when he does, Bobby Green's a hell of a boxer. Throws a lot of volume, pumps out that jab, has some sneaky power as well. Most of his fights go to decision, but he has fought some very good guys. Throws a lot of volume. I think he keeps it on the feet. I think he peppers Gordon with the jab. He starts feeling himself, starts mixing in combinations. You could see 150 significant strikes or something for Bobby Green in this fight. And I do think he does have a knockout upside in this one. I think he puts it on him. I think volume adds up. Either Gordon gets popped for 150 significant strikes and Green wins a decision, or Bobby finds a knockout at some point. Coming off a tough loss, Drew Dober. He was dominating at 73 significant strikes, landed halfway through that second fight. But Drew Dober, man.
Steel crazy comebacks, Dober, man. It's wild.
I love Drew Dober. They talk about fun fights. Yeah, steel chin, and the dude's got power for days. So he caught Bobby Green there. I think Bobby Green gets back on track. I like him for his price. 9,400. He's gonna get some ownership for sure. So if you have the 100, you can go to Lucindo for ownership discount. I think Lucindo is more likely to finish as well, but Bobby Green could be out. He could put up 150, 160 significant strikes in a win too, which you definitely would take even in a decision. But yeah, no Gordon for me. Give me Bobby Green.
Makes sense. Yeah. Hard to see, I think, Gordon winning that fight. I guess maybe the wrestling, but I'm with you. I think Bobby Green can keep this one on the feet.
And Brucev goes, Bobby Green retirement fight. He's going to put on a show. Bobby Green's talked about retirement for like the past 5 years, I feel now. So if you got some hard concrete thing, I haven't seen it this week. I know he always messes around with stuff like that, but I do not believe it at all. Brucev, if you really do believe it, or you saw quotes that you strongly do believe that, drop them in YouTube, because I would be surprised, but I always do like to know when the gloves are going down for people.
Did you notice the fake Clay Guida retirement?
Yeah, so good. So good. I was dying. Dana was pissed.
Dana wasn't too happy about that.
No, in his press conference, the post conference, he was pissed. But I love it by Clay Guida. I mean, the dude's a legend. The dude is in there for you multiple times. Give the dude the mic.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. Let's go to the second to last fight, co-main event here. Brad Tavares sitting around minus 160 over Bruno Silva. Again, a fight between two veterans here in the middleweight division. Both fighters coming off a loss, but yeah, both these guys have fought a lot of the top end of the middleweight division. So makes sense that it's expected to be close. Obviously, two veteran, a little bit older fighters. Tavares minus 160 over Bruno Silva. What do you see here, Title?
Yeah, a pretty solid fight. The first thing that stands out is you look at the odds. Tavares minus 170, Silva plus 140, but it's similar to the Ricky Glenn fight. Tavares 8,900, Bruno Silva 7,300. Then you look at both fighters. Tavares is mainly decision fighter, 19-7, 12 of his wins have come by decision. Whereas you look at Bruno Silva, 22 wins, and 19 of those have come by knockout. So the 8,900 guy is a small favor compared to other people in his range, and more of his fights go to decision than not. Whereas the 7,300 underdog, small dog, has all the power in the world and knocks out a bunch of people. So right there, just looking at it, I like others in the 8,900 range. I like others around Tavares' range, and they're upside more than him. So I'm going to be underweight. But then who am I picking in this fight? Like, I think Brad Tavares is the better fighter. I think he wins a decision. Bruno Silva has all the power in the world, was on a roll until his last fight against Gerald Mearshart. Yep. And man, Bruno Silva looked as bad as you could ever look, which is part of the reason I can't pick him in this one either. I don't know if he bet against himself or what happened, but he just looked completely out of it, wasn't throwing any volume. He might as well not even have walked off the bus in that one. So I'm picking Tavares by decision. I don't think he knocks out Bruno Silva. Silva's got power to knock out anyone, but I don't love Tavares' upside. I mean, I don't think he gets a first-round knockout. Even if he gets a third-round knockout, is he outscoring all of these 9K guys, or is he outscoring Curtis Blaydes for 100 less and something like that? I really don't see it. So the upside, Bruno Silva, 7,300. Any win you take at that price, not the same can be said about Tavares. So DFS-wise, I'll have more Silva than Tavares. However, very similar to the Ricky Glenn fight. I'm picking Brad Tavares. I think he is the better technical striker and can win a 15-minute decision, but don't love the upside.
Yeah, I mean, Tavares even his wins, last 5 DK points, 57, 73, 81, 56, 75. Like, none of those scores are probably going to get you there at 8,900. So makes sense that you'd be less interested in this one in DFS. I think I'd rather play Silva, honestly, with the in DFS. Yeah, for sure.
I'm not picking him, but I'll have more Silva than
Yeah. Makes total sense there. All right, let's get to the main event. I think clearly the best fight on this card. 2 heavyweight contenders. Curtis Blaydes minus 170 here over Sergey Pavlovich. Blaydes, kind of the ultimate heavyweight wrestler. There's not that many of them, but he can certainly get the job done like that. And Pavlovich, I've been pretty impressed with what I've seen from him. It's just, can he keep this fight standing? Not very many fighters have really been able to do it against Curtis Blaydes. So I think that's kind of a cut and dry fight in terms of, that's the big question mark, right? If you think he can keep it standing, I think Pavlovich could win this pretty handily, probably via knockout, frankly, but tough to do against Curtis Blaydes. What do you think of Pavlovich's chances here against the veteran Blaydes?
No, he's definitely got a good chance. So this fight, again, DFS and betting, I look at this fight different. In betting, give me the plus money on Sergey all day long. I think it's closer to a 50-50 fight. Like you said, Blaydes needs the takedown. Sergey needs it on the feet. It's his night and day for both of them, whether it's on the feet or it's on the ground. Sergey's got as much power as anybody, as much power as I've ever seen up there with Francis. Curtis Blaydes, he's been knocked out in his losses. We've seen that. He's winning until he's not. And if it gets on the mat, Pavlovich's only loss was to Alistair Overeem in his UFC debut, and it was the same game plan where Blaydes will try and implement. Overeem got a takedown. Pavlovich had nothing to offer, and it was over shortly after that. So DFS-wise, though, when I'm talking, 8,800 for Blaydes, 7,400 for Pavlovich. I think we see similar ownership on both of them. And Blaydes, if you tell me Blaydes wins this fight, I think he is optimal 95% of the time, whether it's in round 1, round 5, round 4, round 3, because it's going to be takedowns. It's going to be top control. And then, I mean, you're going to get the finish too, but you know you're going to get takedown and top control. So Blaydes is always an amazing DFS play. But if you go to Sergey Pavlovich, just say Blaydes takes him down rounds 1 and 2. He's still somehow alive, and he pulls the Derek Lewis, hits him with the uppercut, and Blaydes goes to bed. If Sergey gets a third-round knockout, again, not very likely. I think this fight probably ends pretty early. But there's paths where Sergey wins, gets a knockout, and is not on the optimal at 7,400. And if they're going to be similar ownership, I like Curtis Blaydes more in DFS, which is why I'm saying I would take the plus money on Sergey. I will have more Blaydes in DFS. I think the ceiling, the floor, if he wins, I'm very confident he's on the optimal. Yeah, if you tell me Sergey wins, I think he's on the optimal too, but there are more paths that he does not make it. There are other live dogs down low that have all the upside in the world. So, yeah, I think Blaydes is the better DFS play. He's going to have to shoot in the first 30 seconds. If I'm picking anyone, I'm going to pick Pavlovich. So this is where all this stuff's crazy. If I'm going to pick one guy, people out there, Pavlovich, I would take my plus money, first round knockout. I'll have more Curtis Blaydes in DFS. I think that he's the better DFS play. I think they come in about the same ownership. People are going to go, you know how it works, DC. Like, they go to the dogs. I need a dog. People go to the main event dog. Yeah. Like, it's very easy to click Sergey Pavlovich. You go to 8,800 where Curtis Blaydes, it's like, oh, give me a couple hundred more for Karine Silva, or give me a couple hundred less for Jeremiah Wells or Dana or whatever it comes to. So, yeah, I think they both come in about 40, a little over 40%. I like Blaydes more in DFS. I like Sergey more betting. I'll pick Sergey. I'll say he knocks him out in round 1. But, man, what a fight. What a fight to target. It's as good. It's a clash of styles. All the 100% exposure to this fight and on 20 entry and below. Around 65-35 Blaydes. But it's going to be a fun one, man.
That was what I was going to say. I think I'll have all my lineups are going to have one of these two guys.
You're crazy if not, unless you have some really strong. I don't know. I don't know how you can have a strong lean in this fight.
Blaydes is like the quintessential, point scorer for DFS, just given his style. And Pavlovich hasn't been out of the first round in any of his fights.
No.
So, I mean, like you said, I mean, yeah, of course, if it goes to the third round or fourth round and Pavlovich gets a knockout after not throwing much volume, it's possible. But given the track record from him, and Blaydes, I don't think has the greatest chin in the world. I'll be surprised kind of if Pavlovich wins, I think it's going to be early. Just so much power, man. What he did to Tuivasa was
insane.
Scary. Yeah, scary.
The only thing is so Pavlovich, just say his defensive grappling has gotten a lot better and Blaydes just can't land much damage. But if he does get takedowns in round 1 and 2, Pavlovich could be going. We know how if you're such a dominant wrestler, the other guy can score 2 points all around because you're just on their back. And then he clips them second, third that way. But yeah, I mean, more than likely the winner's on the optimal in this one.
Yeah, makes sense. Should be a really fun main event. Might be short, but it'll be fun.
Yeah. Probably not need the 5 rounds. That's for sure.
I don't think so. That'll do it for UFC Fight Night. That's all 12 fights broken down. Fun DFS contest, of course. And thanks for watching. As always, we really do appreciate it. If you do want to join us over at Run Fear Sports, you can use promo code TITLE15 for 15% off your first month's payment. Hit the like if you haven't already done so on the way out. Hit subscribe so you don't miss any of our free content here on the YouTube channel. We appreciate the support. Enjoy the fights for Title. I'm DC. We'll check you next time.